At one corner of the airport, an old man sat quietly with a small bag beside him. His face was sunburned, his eyes tired, and his body covered with a worn-out jacket ready for a long journey, yet broken from within. His name was Capriola, poor, elderly, but dignified man who had lived his entire life with honesty and humility. In his hands was an old passport and a visa. His daughter lived in London and had called him after many years. Capriol had saved every penny to buy this ticket, and today was the day he was supposed to travel. But fate had something else in store. When he reached the check-in counter, the immigration officer looked at his visa repeatedly, checked something on the computer, and then shook his head. "Sir, your visa has an issue. There's a minor mistake. It's not valid for boarding," the officer said. Capriol pleaded humbly. "Sir, I've come from so far. My daughter is waiting. Please, have mercy. Let me go." But the rules were strict. No exception was made. Airport security came, grabbed him by the arm, took his boarding pass away, and pushed him out of the terminal. He sat down outside the terminal, heartbroken. The plane was preparing for takeoff. Capriol raised both hands to the sky and, with tears rolling down his cheeks, cried, "Oh God, I've never hurt anyone in my life. I just wanted to see my daughter. If you've stopped me today, then maybe there's something good in it." His tears kept flowing, and his heart was heavy. Meanwhile, the plane took off into the skies. It was flying from the USA to London, carrying over 600 passengers. Inside, people were relaxed, some watching movies, some trying to sleep, and some looking out the window at the stunning scenery below. After about an hour, as the plane flew over a dense jungle, a sudden alarm rang inside the cockpit. The pilot looked at the control panel. One of the engines had failed. Moments later, the second engine started to give out too. A message came over the speakers. "This is Captain Richard speaking. Please fasten your seatbelts. We're facing a technical failure and will attempt an emergency landing." But below them was only a vast Jungleno runway, no open field, just thick forest and fog. Passengers began to scream, some cried, some prayed, and children started wailing. Then, with a thunderous crash, the plane hit the trees and the earth. Smoke and fire filled the air. There were screams everywhere. Some passengers jumped out of the wreckage into the forest. Others were trapped under twisted metal. Many were killed instantly. Out of more than 600 passengers, around 500 lost their lives. Only about 100 survived and were rescued later. A few hours later, news channels started flashing the tragic headlines. "Passenger flight from USA to London crashes in jungle. Hundreds feared dead. Survivors rescued from wreckage." Capriol, sitting outside the airport, was watching all this on a small television screen set up by a tea vendor. He was stunned, his eyes filled with tears. He sat motionless. Slowly, he looked up at the sky and whispered, "Oh God, if you had let me board that flight, I would have been dead by now. Thank you for saving me. Your will is best. I accept it." As he sat there trembling, a few people noticed him. They came closer and saw the pain in his eyes, his shaking hands, and his broken face. One of them, the tea seller, said, "Babaji, your prayer, God heard it." That moment marked the beginning of a new life for Capriol. People who were strangers to him became his helpers. Some brought him food, others helped arrange a place for him to stay. A kind social worker eventually contacted his daughter. The visa issue was fixed, and a new one was issued. Weeks later, Capriol boarded another flight, this time safely, and with a heart full of gratitude to God. When he reached London, his daughter ran and hugged him tightly, tears streaming down her face. "Dad, God saved you. If something had happened to you, I would have died." Capriol placed his hand on her head and said softly, "Sometimes, being stopped is actually being saved."